So this is a lathe I picked up last year at some point, and there's no badge on it, so I don't know what it is. It would have gone there. I don't know why somebody took it off. It must have been one heck of a badge because they put the screws back in. I think it's a Seneca Falls. I've seen pictures. It looks similar, and the carriage I think is the thing on these that really seem to stand out and be different. That's not far from here, so I guess it would make sense. I've needed this thing a number of times, and I just haven't set it up. And now I'm backed into a corner where I definitely need it, and I'm sick of it taking up space and not working. So I'm just going to do a quickie, get it going, get a motor on it, and do what I need to do. See how it works, and go from there. If I got to reconfigure later, I'll deal with that later. But minimally for now, I need this thing to spin, and I just need to be able to crudely turn some things. The plan, I think, for right now is I'm going to hang the motor off of here. These two brackets were on it, and there was a big shelf that hung right here. The big shelf is probably stuck out of 2 feet or something like that. It was gigantic. It was wood, and it had a line shaft on it. It doesn't really work too good because that takes up way too much space for me. I'm thinking about just hanging a motor off the back here that I can swing down, let it collapse, dangle, whatever, so it's not, blocking the stairs right here. The caveat to it is this. This is just the brake, so you can change the chuck. So I think what I'm going to do is I've already got this here loosened up. I think I'm going to run it without this. And then what I'll do is I'll just pop the belt off, throw this back in quick when I need to change the chuck, and for as much as I'm going to use it, that's fine. The way I'm going to set this up, it's going to be easy to change the belt. Just slide it off the end of the motor. I don't really plan on spending a lot of time on this. Basically where I got this strip of wood here, I'm going to just put a piece of pipe on there and pivot the motor off the pipe and leave it so I can slide it back and forth to change the speed. I don't really anticipate myself using any of the smaller pulleys at this point. I think I'm just going to pretty much stick with that 6-inch on there. So I don't even think I'm going to be moving it that much, but I'm going to try to set it up so I can just slide it back and forth, which you kind of have to do anyways to, accommodate the belt centering and stuff. So I think that'll be easy enough, and I'm just going to bang this one out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. Oh, what's that? I was going to say, it doesn't look like it's got a lot of life left in it. That's better. So yeah, I got this all together, and then I realized that this motor's not reversible. I was going to dig into it and see if I could steal the start winding and flip-flop it around the capacitor, and I looked in there and the start winding's just buried, so this isn't reversible. I got a bunch of motors, none of them fit the bill except for this one. So what I ended up doing was kind of flip-flopping this thing around, and now I think that's going to work. I'm just going to leave it cranked up like that. Yeah, this is just temporary. I want to put this together the right way at some point in the future, but I just need it to work for now, and it takes up too much room not to work. So um, I think they consider this a direct drive setup where you just run the motor straight to the lathe. Um, I'm not an expert on this, but I think the reason that you want a couple pulleys in the loop is to protect the motor, because I think it's an inertia thing. When you get all those pulleys spinning, you get a little bit of momentum and inertia, and that doesn't put as heavy of a load on the motor when you got all that stuff spinning. You know, this motor isn't anything spectacular, so if it ends up burning it out, I'm not going to use this thing enough to burn that motor out more than likely. So, but I mean, it'll give me a better idea like how I'm going to go about doing it the right way when I get there. But you just can't always do everything the right way all the time and get anything done, because you'll never get anything done. I think the next thing is I have to do something with the belt. I got a chunk of leather, so what I'm going to try to accomplish is the south bend belt splicing technique. It looks a little bit intricate. It's a little bit delicate. You got to basically use a gigantic needle and sew some cord through holes in a very specific pattern. But I guess if you do it the right way, it holds, it works. Got that printed out, and I'm going to try to follow it. It's the kind of thing where you have to make the connection on the lathe. You know, if you don't have a belt splicing tool, which obviously I don't. So this is my belt. I'm going to use just a chunk of leather. I got my holes punched in it. I doubled it up and I punched the holes the way it was going to be laced together, so that when you flip it out, they can't possibly be wrong. The pattern for this is really kind of tricky. What they tell you to do in the South Bend manual is they say put the flesh side out and the skin side in. So, you know, what would be the outside of the leather is touching the pulleys. This is a thing I found in a box of stuff I acquired, and it took me the longest time to figure out what it is. But it's actually a leather. It's actually a thing to put grooves in leather. It's one of those things that, like, you know, at this moment I'm glad I didn't throw it out, but you know, it could have easily been tossed away a few different times when I moved or whatever. But what you're supposed to do with it is what you do with it is you let this edge here ride along the belt, and you tip it up and you push down, and it cuts a groove down through there. And that gives the cord a place to go, so the cord isn't bouncing around up and down on top of the pulleys. Alright, so I guess the next thing is we come back up through this hole. The trick's going to be trying not to pop this needle through the cord, because I don't think it works if that happens, because you won't be able to tighten it. I think also the trick's going to be trying to keep this mess from getting too tight, because you got to go through these holes multiple times, because you see at the end it's not really knotted off that great. Well, I mean, it's suitable, but it's not. It's not like your end knot is really going to do a lot. It's relying on you following this procedure to the T. Looks kind of crappy. There. And I think you just keep tightening it as you go. I actually found a guy on YouTube, and I'll link him, that walks you through how to do this, and he shows you step by step, and it's a fantastic video showing you how to do this. If you use the South Bend manual, it's really hard. Maybe if you have an original copy of it, you could figure it out, but just on the ones that are available online that are scanned, it's almost impossible to figure out what they're trying to tell you how to do. So his video is fantastic, and I can't think of the guy's name right now, but I will include it below in case anybody has to try to do this. It was really helpful. All right, first try. Uh-oh. There she goes. Get back over. Tension. A little bit fast. Look at that. That's pretty sexy. How's that? And also we have a proper switch installed, so shit hits the fan, shut her down, and like I said, this is all just kind of temporary. I chucked up a socket in there, and just looking at it by eye, it's got run out, so the chuck needs to get centered. There is another chuck, that's the OD. This is the ID, which really is the only one I need. So, you know, maybe with any luck, this one will be okay. If not, I'm going to have to grind it, which I'm not looking forward to. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a stamp on there, and it's called the Skinner Chuck Company, New Britain, Connecticut. And these are beautiful. These are beautiful chucks. I mean, they really are nice. I was fortunate enough when I bought this that it came with a box of goodies. You know, that was the tipping point for me. You know, a lot of times you get these things and what you see is what you get. This one actually came with a bin full of stuff for it, the key. It'll be nice to have this running. I can't tell you how many times I've just needed it, you know, even to like just something stupid like this, sharpening a punch. This will be great to have for the Buick. The next thing is I'm going to put that other chuck on here. I'm going to see if it has, if how well it's centered, or if it needs to be ground. If it needs to be ground, I'm going to try to do it. Don't have a lot of experience there, but we'll figure it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I mean, ideally, I'd like to keep it under 10 thou for right now. If I could get better than that, that'd be great, but I don't know if I think the right way to grind one of these guys is with with an ID grinder or OD grinder, whatever, that you mount on top of your you mount to your carriage, and you come in with it, and it's got a motor with a wheel on it, and you just pull it in and out of the jaws. But yeah, I've been looking up some stuff on them. There's a lot of different ways that you anchor the chucks because you want them under tension when you're grinding. So that seems to be the tricky part that everybody seems to have a different opinion on, is how you actually go about doing that. You know, you basically want to mimic having something inside of the jaws, but you can't actually have something inside of the jaws because you're grinding those surfaces. So you know, some guys are putting a ring around here and pulling them out. The theory on that is that you could be cantilevering them a little bit, and you know, you want to be putting pressure on the jaws the way you would be apart and grind them in that way. So I saw another guy who seemed to have the right idea. He opened up the inside just enough to accommodate the part, put the part in, and then clamped it down, and then turned the front half. So I don't know. I've got a couple ideas. I'm going to see how bad I am first, and then we'll go from there. We're into it now. Haha. I think I'm going to leave those threads just for a little touch of class. Perhaps a touch crude, but good enough for me. I like her. It's the first pile of shaving she's made in a real long time, I'll tell you that much. We'll tell you what for. Alright. I thought this was a nifty idea. I put this piece of bar stock in here. I'm going to use it to store my chuck. And I figure that way it's out of my way. I think the other thing I'm going to like about it is that's just where I'm going to leave my key. So you can just kind of be working up here reach down, da-da-da-da-da, and do-da-da-da-do. Huh? I was digging for a set screw for this thing. It was a little bit better than that one. I couldn't find one, and I got this drawer full of stuff under here. And I knew I had some in there. And then the phone rang. I got busy looking for one, and I didn't end up finding what I needed. After I got off the phone, I went looking for this, which is, you know, I happen to have that, but not the easiest thing to find. And it was gone. And I spent about 2 hours looking for that. I knew I was here with it. I knew the phone rang, and then the rest is just blank. No idea. So after I gave up and I just surrendered and said, you know, it's gone. It evaporated. It's in another dimension or wherever that kind of stuff goes. I went back in the house, had some dinner, and I came back out here to turn the lights off, and I said, I'm going to give it one more look. And I looked every possible place I could look for this thing. I turned the lights off, I walked out the door, and then I came back, and it just, I had that flash of light, like I got to get down on the ground. And I was over here, and I found this stupid thing all the way under there. So it rolled all the way from there to there while I was on the phone, and of course they didn't hear it. So now I got it back. It's stupid.